I'm ready, Adrianne. Are you ready, Adrianne?
I am ready, Adrianne.
Oh, good. You are ready, Adrianne. What? I feel like I shouldn't have hit him in the face just now.
It's okay. He's my T-Rex.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
I love
good.
him. He was a Christmas present.
I can tell.
Yeah, and he's just fantastic. But
He is fantastic.
he's a little. He doesn't have a handle. He needs a handle.
Well, he's a hand
really,
warmer.
Like the best way to hold him is like by the neck.
To choke him. Well, you need to keep him in line.
Not good.
Thank you for visiting us once again. This is Right Now. I am Drew. That is Adrianne. And here we talk about kind of whatever we want to 2 times a week. And today we are going to talk about our favorite pen and ink combinations, our favorite pen and ink pairings, and describe to you why we think they're special to us or why we think you should be aware of them. And that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And
I
we'd
picked
love to
out
hear
some
from you
great
because
ones.
I think everybody's got a few pairings that are really, really important to them. And we're no exception. So I'm going to start things off. And I'm going to go with my oldest nice fountain pen, the Lamy 2000. So this is a very, very popular pen for a lot of collectors to have. You might have one yourself, but the Lamy 2000 I think is very, very justified in its sought-afterness, its collectability.
The number of people who send us emails asking about the Lamy 2000 and how smooth is it going to be, or, you know, when are we getting it back? We're out of this nib size, and that's what they wanted. I mean, we have so many every week.
It's always been popular. It's been around since the 60s. It's a tried and true staple of any collection. And mine I keep inked up with Lexington Gray by Noodlers. And I think it matches well with the pen because it's always ready to go. This pen never dries out. It has never dried out with me. Even if I put in like really thick inks, like other Noodlers, like L. Lawrence. I had it inked up with L. Lawrence for like 2 years, and it never once dried out. It always writes.
Now, do you use it every single day, or do you let it go a day or two?
Oh, I let it go many days.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Which is one of the great things about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It caps super
Lexington
well.
Gray.
This one's an extra fine. It is a little more on the wet side of some of the extra fines I've seen and tested.
Yeah.
But I like it a lot, and Lexington Gray is a great ink to kind of take with you. It writes pretty well on not so great paper, and it dries super fast.
And it's got a lot of water resistancy too, which I like.
It is an amazing ink. It dries so fast. We're talking like 10 seconds.
So, Drew, while you're doing your little bit of writing, we talked about our favorite pen and ink combo, and we didn't mention the paper, but remember last week I told you about somebody used the PIP acronym?
Yes.
Paper, ink, pen, ink, paper, PIP. That has been on my mind. So while you grab the Rhodia, which is one of the best pads we have, and we use it all the time, especially for these things, I grabbed a Mnemosyne because that has become one of my favorites. So when I do my writing, we'll look at my Mnemosyne.
And they're pretty similar. I think that one I think has a little bit of a higher dry time than the Rhodia does.
It does. I don't know if it's got any extra coating, but it's like satin. It's just amazing.
Do you want to give it a shot?
Sure, yeah.
Which one are you going to pick next?
Well, I'm going to go with my Lamy because I feel like Lamy's got to go against Lamy.
I think that's a good choice.
Ooh.
Is it dry? Is it feathering at all on that one?
No.
Because I know that's one thing with quick drying inks is that if you do use paper that's not coated, it does have a tendency to feather a little bit more.
No.
Well, that's great. Perfect.
That's really
Lexington,
good.
I'm telling you.
Lexington Gray.
All right, Lamy.
Lamy
on
again.
the Lamy train.
So this is my Lamy Studio in olive. And when we first heard about these, I was like, when are we getting them? Because I need it.
Yeah.
Which is generally what I say about every pen.
I think you said about the terracotta and the olive.
Yeah, and the aquamarine, which I haven't
Yeah.
gotten, and the dark violet. But anyway, I love Lamy. I just can't say enough good things about the Lamy brand. So this one, actually, though, I swapped on the black nib from my very first Lamy Safari, which was the one that I lost in the snow.
Was that the petrol?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I swapped the nib because I thought the black would look a little bit nicer with just this darker green. I love this post. It's just, it's perfect.
Tremendous.
It doesn't make it any heavier, really, but, and I have got Robert Oster Crocodile Green, which is one of my favorite greens.
So you match your ink color to your pen color usually, right?
Generally,
Yeah.
yes. Generally, I am it's the same shade.
That's kind of where I am
hue.
at. They don't have to be exact,
yeah.
but I need to find a way to justify its pairing. And that's the cool thing about Lamys is that if you do have a nib that you are just absolutely in love with and you move to a different pen, you just bring your pen with you. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to write?
Yeah.
So yeah, what I love about the Robert Oster Crocodile Green, and especially in this pen, is it's got amazing shading.
Yeah.
It's a really good ink. I find most of the Robert Oster inks dry pretty quickly.
It's like an olive lime.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's like the inside of a really good avocado, or I don't know. But everybody knows what that color looks like.
I'm with you.
It's a really good color.
That's really fun. And yours is shading really nicely.
So it does a lot of shading. It dries pretty quickly.
The way you write is different than me too, because you have more stops. And I feel like shading happens more at the stops. Yeah. So you stop and you pull, and that creates the shading. But if you've got one continuous
it's only going to shade at the end.
Which is what my writing style is. So if you see my crocodile, like I've got really nothing there. But you have more stops, you have more breaks. So yours isn't a 100% cursive.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, I'm going to change how I write. So, moving on, my next one is a Visconti Davina in the Desert Springs celluloid. So this is an older pen. This one came out before Visconti had made the switch to palladium nibs. Now they've switched back to gold, but this was one of the original gold nibs. So it has a really unique celluloid design with this kind of terracotta-y looking stuff with some blue and white swirls. And it has a vacuum filler that kind of pops out. It's full right now, so
you're not gonna
pull. You pull this out, and then it becomes a vacuum press.
Very nice.
I guess it's a double reservoir power filler because it does have an ink window.
Nice.
They made a version of this that did not have the ink window. This band right here in the center is just a solid metal band, but this was, I guess, the LE, and it does have an ink window.
Nice.
And pretty much whenever a Visconti has an ink window, it has a double reservoir. But this pen writes insanely well. It starts up every time for me, and I have it inked up with Noodler's Midway Blue. Just because there's a little blue in here, sometimes I use like a terracotta or something like that. But yeah, this time we're going with Midway Blue. And Midway has been one of my favorite inks for a really long time. I love the name of it. I love the history behind it, and it's just a really, really beautiful blue. It's kind of the blue itself, compared to a lot of the other Noodler's blue, doesn't stand on its own, but I like writing Midway. It's fun to write, and I just think it's a really well-behaved, fun ink.
Well, I think one of the things with the Noodlers, again, Noodlers has so many different things that you can have in the ink. You can have water resistancy, bulletproof, the archival, laser resistant, freeze resistant. And so sometimes his inks that are just a little bit more on the traditional side get overlooked. But every time I see something like you've written some notes with those before, I'm just like, gosh, that's a pretty color.
Yeah, I really like Midway.
Yeah.
And it caps posts interesting too, because it's got this. That's the thing with the Davina. It's the divine proportion, so it has this spiral that always connects all the way through,
love it.
Which is also why it's numbered 1618.
Of course.
So, yeah, Davina Desert Springs.
Very, very nice. Well, my next one is actually. I didn't get it from Goulet, but that's okay. It's my Waterman Perspective that I got from a pen shop in a large city on the East Coast. I actually got it from the Fountain Pen Hospital when I went to New York. And I use this one at home. You can actually see I use it so much it's starting to scratch up.
It's got some love.
It's got some love. But I use this at home a lot for journaling, and I keep it inked up with Monteverde California Teal.
Oh, always?
Pretty much always. Well,
I thought about using that color on one of mine.
Green is one of my favorite colors, so having this with it is just, and I always want to say Monteverde Teal.
I thought about my next one is a greenish pen, and I thought about doing a California Teal in that one.
Yeah.
But we didn't even talk about which inks. We very well could have doubled up.
We could have. The thing about the Monteverde California Teal, I always want to say California Monteverde Teal, so, is you get that red sheen, which is just so cool. And I look back at my journal pages or something, I'm like, ooh, there it is. Ooh, there it is. Flows well every time. This has got a medium nib that I smoothed myself. Disclaimer, don't do that unless you're willing to void the warranty. But I was okay with it, and it just feels good, and I love how slender it is.
Yeah.
When I post it.
And that was like one of your first major fountain pen purchases.
Yeah, this was like my first real. Like,
so it's got a history behind it.
yeah.
Very cool.
And I love it. I hadn't even noticed the scratches until I'm here in this light, and I'm like, oh, my poor little pen.
That's fine.
But
Keep writing in the darkness.
there we go.
My last one is a Pilot Custom Impressions LE, and I don't know if this is 100% celluloid or if it's just cellulose resin, but it's got this beautiful gray with small flecks of green in it. And because of those flecks, I usually put a green ink in here. Today it is Diamine Emerald. And Emerald on its own isn't a flashy ink, but it's a very natural green. I feel like it's more like I could see that green out in nature. But then again, of course, every green is in nature. But this one I got secondhand, and I think that someone had done a Waverly customization on it because it does go up a little bit.
Okay.
But it still writes magnificently. Obviously, it's a Pilot, so,
Yeah.
you know. But I just love the balance. I love the look. I've never seen a color or pattern with that sort of look.
Like,
it is
I'm
just
seeing,
beautiful.
like, it almost has some purple and some green.
It reminds me of like a
and-
cave with like embedded emeralds inside of it. I really love it. What's your last one?
My last one is the Peniter Avatar in angel skin. We always, well, not we, I joke and, you know, we call it celestial dermis or something like that because angel skin is a little bit...
Celestial dermis?
Celestial dermis. But when we saw these pens and they came out, we saw them, I saw this particular resin model and I was like, I have to have it. I just have to have it. So this was a pen that I bought myself as a congratulations. And I've got it inked up with Noodlers. Oh, look at that. It's so pretty.
Noodlers what?
Cactus Fruitial.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's just a great, pretty pink. It flows well. It's not too pink. I would never say I'm a pink person, but then when I looked at some of the other
I love that
pens,
color.
It's just, it's perfect.
And Saguaro wine is also a really good one. I think it's the same thing pretty much without the lubrication. This one you also can't get anymore. I forget to mention that. I think it's from the early 2000s or late 90s.
Yeah.
But that is it. Those are our pens. And we have a lot more. We have very strong opinions on pretty much everything. So I don't know. These are the ones I never kind of falter on. These are always mainstays for me and probably for you as well.
Like I said, this one I had to bring in from my house because it's at my desk. I use it every day. And most of the time I'm writing with one of those.
Yeah. So what are your mainstays? I'm sure you have one that just is always in your top rotation if you do rotate through a collection, or if you only need or have ever had one and that is just your pen. We'd love to hear it because we've all got one and that's what makes this hobby so exciting. We get that personal attachment. And with that, we are done. We appreciate you sticking with us and hope you have a great day.